Hello, guys. Sean from Men's Listen Group. Welcome to our Bring Your Shits podcast. We're joined here with Sharif and our special guest, Scott Webber. And we're here to talk about Unalived, talking about experiences and what people go through. And Scott has joined us here today to kind of venture and talk about his experiences with thoughts and actions around suicide. So, yeah, Scott, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So we're here today, really just to kind of explore why men, decide to take their lives, and also the kind of mindset around it. And obviously, you're part of Men Share, you're obviously one of our circle leaders, but you've also got a story around
Yeah.
a day where you were in a dark spot and you wanted
Yeah.
to take your life. So welcome. So yeah,
Thank you.
if you'd like to just kind of give an introduction and yeah, take it from there.
I don't know what to say really. I'm 43, 43, 45. I can edit that out, can't you? I'm
We'll
45.
edit that out.
I'm 45. I live at home with my son and my partner. And in November the 30th, 2021, I ended up at a local beauty spot at East Sussex, which is renowned for people who intend to take their own lives. So hopefully people can learn a bit today.
So if you just tell us how it started, how did it lead up to that moment where you drove down to that spot? What was kind of going on in your life? What were the kind of triggers, and also the kind of emotions and impact on you? What was going through in your mind?
It started out as just any other day, just a normal day where I went to work, just finished work, just another normal day, and for some reason I just decided that I didn't want to go home. Nothing to do with what had happened at home, but it was just things that had built up throughout. For one, I'd gone through a divorce. I was worrying about money. My weight was a big issue with me as well, and I think all of that just kind of just erupted at that point. And I didn't plan to go to this place. I just got in the car and started driving. Yeah, I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do.
So were you blank? Were there like thoughts and feelings?
I at the time I thought I just don't want to go home. That was the thing. I could really just do with it, just time away at the moment. And then I drove down to the coast, and I stayed overnight in my car. I stayed overnight, and then the next day is where I went to further on the coast, and I just saw this place, and I knew what this place was. Obviously,
So while you were in the car that night,
Mm.
is there anything going through your mind?
I was numb. I didn't feel anything. I wasn't thinking anything. I was just, because it was just me in the car. I was actually okay. I was okay then. I was just thinking, but on the next day, when I started driving more, I thought, I don't want to go home anymore. I don't want to go home. So I carried on driving, and I saw the sign for this place.
So what did
And
you
I
do
just
then?
thought,
You pulled over, got out?
I saw the place, and I just thought, right. And that's when the realization hit me. It was like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is where I'm going. So I went there, and I parked up for a while, and I fell asleep for a bit. I wasn't thinking about anything or anyone at that time. I just wanted things to go away. And if I could come back another day and everything would be different, that would be great. But I knew things like that wouldn't happen. So, yeah, I went there, sat in my car, and I didn't know that there's people walking around, driving around, that are looking for people who do this kind of thing. Mm. So I sat there in the car, and I was crying my eyes out, because as I was driving there, I was getting more and more angry because I put myself in some of these situations that I was in, with the money, with the divorce, with my weight, and I was to blame for all of it. No one else was to blame, it was for me. So the easiest thing for me to do was just to go to this place and do it. And yeah, like I said, when I got there, I parked up and I fell asleep for a little bit. And when I woke up, that's it. I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to do it. But I didn't get the chance to, because they're called chaplains.
Chaplains, yeah.
Yeah.
So they found you sitting in your car?
They found me sitting in my car, yeah.
So,
and they knew my name. As soon as they flashed a light on me, because it was night time, and so immediately I thought, oh, something's not right here. And yeah, they went, and then they came back again, and yeah.
So how does it know your name? They did a vehicle registration check or something?
Vehicle registration, and they knew
Wow.
that I was missing, because my family had reported it. So yeah, my partner had reported me missing.
Wow. Hats off to that chaplain.
Yeah, there was two of them. So they
what was their approach?
Very calm, very friendly. It was like when someone loses their child and the child goes missing, when you're in town and that, and the child's standing there, are you okay? What's wrong? And it was like that. It was very a calming influence, and they made me feel that that I could talk to them, that I could open up. And then before I know it, the police were there, and then there was more chaplains there, and it was a chance for me just to unload, just let my feelings go.
So were you
tell them everything?
Were you like comforted by their presence, or were you overwhelmed by their presence?
At the start, I was overwhelmed, but the more I talked to them, I felt comfort, and
Do you remember that conversation?
Not really. It was along the lines of, how you doing? Why are you here? A lot of people are missing you, and that kind of thing. But I don't really remember all of the conversation. But I know that they were, all of them, every single one, including the police, they were so understanding. And sometimes you might think to yourself that, the police think I'm wasting their time and all that kind of thing. But the police and the chaplains, they were so good, so understanding. And they were really, really, really nice about it.
That's your question.
Yeah.
Did anyone pick up that you was different, darker, quieter, when you was leading up to that evening, that day, or the day before, that week? Did anyone say, Scott, you're pretty quiet, mate? Did anyone kind of highlight a change? Because you fall into the darkness, as we call it, the black dog of depression.
Not that I'm aware of. But after the incident, every now and again, people would say to me, you know,
okay.
you're a little quieter than normal.
Mhm.
But leading up to that event, no, I was, because I'd always been quite happy and bubbly, and I kind of pushed it all down so no one could really.
So you kind of put a mask on.
I kind of put a mask on, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So yeah, I would just get up, go to work, come home, act all happy and jolly,
But deep
but
down,
deep down, yeah. So
But that's one of the things, isn't it? When people are considering unaliving themselves or taking their own life, it's that they like you say, they mask it and they hide it,
oh yeah,
and that's then consequences of that is the impact of that person actually no longer being with us. Then it has
Yeah.
that. Oh my god.
I think. Do you feel it? Sorry. Do you feel it's the typical masculinity of like can't show my real feelings,
yeah, I think so.
weakness, insecure? You know, people judging you to be something just because you feel that way. Did that? Is that why you
Yeah.
kind of locked it away?
I think also because yeah, I'm the oldest kid in my family, and I've got a son, and I've got a partner, and I'm the breadwinner. So I have to keep it together. I have to, um, you know, push everything aside and just, you know, carry on and be strong. Really. So
See, what's interesting, you talk about your accountability for divorce and debts and
Mhm.
stuff like that. And so, did you feel you were taking some sort of accountability for your life as well by taking yourself to?
I think it was an easy way out from my point of view. It was um, I deserved it. I was thinking that I deserved to unalive myself. You know,
Wow.
yeah, I think so because yeah, I caused it. So you know, I've got no one to blame but myself. You know, so
And now, in that moment, are you thinking about the outcomes on those you're going to leave behind? Did that ever cross your mind?
not at the time, but when the chaplains finally saw me and we started talking, and they said, you know, your parents, you know, your brother, your sister, even my closest friends had been out driving looking for me, not even knowing where I'd gone. Um, it did hit home that you know that I wasn't on my own. That I had plenty of people who were supporting me, yeah, and who were on my side. And
And that's half the problem, isn't it? That men feel that they don't have
that
the
support.
support.
Yeah, and it's the fear of judgment or fear of not being the man or the provider.
Yeah.
Did you speak to the doctor? Did you go to the doctors about before that? Did you kind of check in with the doctor? Say, look, I'm feeling a little bit blue, a bit depressed. You know, did you put you on any medication which may have kind of brought you?
I think I think personally from my point of view, I'd had depression for such a long time, way before I got married. Probably before my son was born, and my son's 18 now. But I didn't go to the doctors then. It was only after I got a phone call from you. Thank you. And you know, and a lot of other people said, you know, this is not the road that you need to go down.
Yeah.
So it was you should try things that help you. Not everything. Certain things help people. You know, you can try medication. You can try talking to people. You can try various other things, but not everything works. So,
Do you think that the depression was at a point that was always there, but was going to lead you to
no, not at all. I
so
think
you consciously then were. It wasn't the depression; it was you consciously making a decision about your own life.
Yeah. I think the depression that I'd had throughout the years, it was kind of I was different. I was angry I was angry sometimes. I was a bit moody. Um, and then looking back now, that was my depression as well. And then this one day it just all boiled up over the top, and that's when I thought I can't do it anymore.
Can I say something to you, which is, and this podcast is about Unalived, and it's about your story. But I've been down that A23 in the car and having those thoughts myself years ago, and kind of thinking, fuck it, fuck life. Who cares about me? If I'm better off not being here, and these kind of wounded, dismissive feelings about why I should be on this planet. And I received a call on the way down there, and it kind of changed everything for me. And here I am today. Like I say, it's not about me, but when I saw that Facebook post from your partner saying, that made me think, wow, I think I've got a link with this man, because I know I know I have experience of maybe those thoughts why he's down there. And when I outreached and we had a chat, things kind of move forward from there.
Can I ask a question? I think it's quite important. So those feelings that you were experiencing, it's like I myself, probably at one time when I had a bit of depression or suffering depression for a little bit, felt one morning I woke up and I didn't want to be here, but there was never any thought of ever unaliving myself, and I felt horrible. I felt so empty and just not engaged with anything. It was probably one of the worst feelings I've ever felt. I've never ever thought what you guys have ever thought.
I mean, like I said, when I woke up that morning, I didn't think I was going to end up where I did. And even when I finished work and I decided I didn't want to go home, I still didn't think I was going to end up where I did. It was only when I was down that way and I saw the sign, that's where I need to be. That's where I need to go. That's so it wasn't a conscious thing of me waking up that day and thinking, right, this is the day I'll do it.
So from that point there, so say the DeLorean appeared. That's the future. DeLorean appeared. You got in that DeLorean, and you went back in time to that day, and you got out of that car as you are today, looking at you getting in that car to go down to that kind of spot. What would you say to yourself to stop you kind of heading there? What would you say to that man now?
Stop. Take a step back. Have a think of not just yourself, but of others around you. How does it affect your family? And know that there are people out there who are willing to help you. Total strangers who you've never met before, who will help you. You're not on your own. And I think that's what I'd say. Just take a step back, have a think of not just yourself, because I think when you're thinking like that, it's a very selfish thing. It's kind of just tunnel vision. You're just thinking of you. Not the big picture. So I think that's something that I would definitely say is take a step back, have a think, have a look.
What would you like to see more of in regards to, from unalived prevention, in the sense of men taking their lives? What would you like to see more in place? Because obviously we know about the Samaritans and the wonderful work they do. And for those guys, Samaritans is 116 123. Please take down that number, put it in your phones, because you never know, you might be helping yourself or another man. But in regards to, if you've been in that dark place and being selfish and not thinking anything else, do if when you got to that kind of beauty spot, was anything there you think they should put in place to kind of maybe?
I mean, at the spot itself,
Mm,
they couldn't have done any more.
yeah,
You know, there's people driving around, walking around 24 hours a day.
yeah,
So that bit, no. But I do feel that when you look at men and women, there is a lot more female groups for this kind of thing than there is for men.
hmm
Even though I think I might be completely wrong, even though I think there's more men that do it than women.
yeah, yeah,
And I think when you go to the doctors, they do an amazing job. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes they can point you in the wrong direction. That's not right for you. And they should say, right, you've got this option, this option, this option, this option. You know, what do you think could help you? And if you say, well, I'm not sure, say, right, well, we can try all of these options then.
mm.
And just personally to get a better understanding of what type of help is out there for people, because I certainly didn't know about MenShare before this happened.
Do you find it gets too political then around prescribing medication or referrals to talk therapies and stuff like that?
I think it can be. I think a lot of it is, like we discussed before, is a tick box for some of it. You say, well, such and such came in. I said he should do this or they should do that. And then that's it. I've done it.
I mean, hearing the men's stories, you know, for 13 years in doing this work, you know, I've had men gone into kind of, you know, surgeries and said, look, I'm feeling suicidal. And when I walked in myself, they locked me in a room. They got me support straight away. Probably one of the lucky ones. The kind of other stories I heard was men were like, we need to go down to the hospital because we just haven't got the capacity here. And they go down to the hospital and it's, you know, well, you know, out of 1 to 10, how serious are you? You kind of, and if you're a 7 or 8, you're not a 9 or a 10. And it's like, well, you know, check in with your GP. And that for me is where men, we can lose them.
Yeah.
At that point. Not saying it's the NHS's fault, but it's,
No.
you know, there's, I have seen it and I've heard it from men's stories where they felt like unheard and not seen.
Yeah. I think I've had a few episodes since. And they say, go down to your walking centre. I'm like, that's not, they're just going to say, right, in the morning, go back to your GP, get your medication up. That's not it.
But you now have MenShare, right?
I have MenShare. I have my partner as well. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Hats
off to your partner because that message on Facebook is why I reached out. You know, reading that message, so your partner deserves.
Do you remember the message?
The message, yeah. The kind of context of it was about you being missing, and then the other message was that he's in a bad way, and I made contact and contact number, and when I got the message that you were back and okay, not okay, being okay, but you were back from that point. That's when I thought I need to get hold of you. I need to get you down to our group. So, and that's conversation we had, and you gave me a very honest, raw, emotional conversation when we spoke. So it brings us to this point of that conversation we had, and then so just to kind of tell us about the first circle you came to with MenShare, having been through that experience. What was the emotions? What was the feelings? Talking to the men about, and also I remember your first circle girls there, explaining that you tried to unalive yourself or attempted to unalive.
I remember being nervous about it, but I don't actually remember standing up and talking. about it. I presume I did.
Yeah,
I
I can remember it clearly.
Yeah,
when
I
you told
can't.
those men, and men put their hands on your shoulder. I think you had a cry, tears came, and men hugged you, strangers.
Strangers, yeah.
Yeah,
And you know what? To this day, I still get hugs from them same people. You know, I see them sometimes at the football, and that makes me happy. That does. Yeah.
But that's one of the beauties. Though I see men I haven't seen come to the circle in a while.
Mhm.
It's, hey, how you doing? It's a big
Yeah.
hug. But there's one
Yeah.
thing I wanted to ask you just before Sean asked you that,
Mhm.
and it was when you got home from that
Wow.
spot, everybody's reaction to you.
Seeing my son, because my son is borderline autism, so he doesn't show emotion. And the second I got home, he hugged me and he cried, and I'd never seen that before, ever, in that kind of way. I'd seen him cry before, but I'd never seen him, and for him to hug me as well. You know, and we're talking 15-year-old. You know, 15-year-olds don't really show emotion. For that, and then certainly my partner, oh, it destroyed me. It was so. I felt so guilty that I'd put him through that, and then having to see my mum and dad as well the next day, and I felt like, well, I did. I apologized to them, you know, and when I went to see my sister, oh, I'll never forget my sister. Oh, it was heartbreaking. It was. Oh, she just gave me the biggest hug. And my brother and his wife as well. It was just, oh, I can't believe I even thought about it at the time. Yeah, looking back on it now, it was just, it was heartbreaking to see their reactions, you know. And my friends, you know, where I work, I had to sit down and say to them why, because they didn't know. They just knew I was off. Only my boss knew why I was off. Excuse me. So to sit down and tell my work colleagues why I was off, to get their reaction as well. And then from then on, my work colleagues, every other day, how you doing? You okay? And my manager would take me aside. We just have a quick chat, make sure you're okay. And that meant the world to me. All right, I don't work there anymore. But at the time, that meant everything.
when was it? When did you feel the shift from being in that place of selfishness and darkness to then coming home and then kind of went back to work? When did you feel that shift in you, where you kind of thought, you know what, I'm glad I didn't make that decision. You know, I'm feeling like accepted now, or I'm feeling held, because you told people where you were and how they treated you.
It was strange because when I was there and the police I spoke to my partner, said, yeah, we found him. She said, look, can I speak to him? I'm like, I don't want to speak to anyone. I don't want to speak. I was quite happy speaking to the police, but I didn't want to speak to any of my family, anything like that. And then when I got home, it was literally, I parked in the car park outside my house. And my partner and my boy were waiting there. And the second I got out of the car, they both jumped on me. And that split second, I knew that I'd made a mistake. And yeah, I felt guilty that I put them in that situation. I felt relief at the same time because now they knew how I was feeling. Yeah,
That was a shift. So then kind of moving forward then, so you kind of, you had all those feelings, you kind of talked to the family and things and your friends and holding, and your children holding you. You obviously came to the first circle, you know, the men, strangers, similar, embraced you,
Yeah.
didn't know you,
Yeah.
told your story. So tell us about the journey from that first circle of you coming to the circles and the benefits as a man who's been through those feelings and of thinking that there's nothing else out there for them. Just to kind of tell the viewers of what benefits there are.
Have a thought. We're gonna take a break. Have a thought, okay? And then we'll come back and visit that. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.